Hey everyone, welcome to Weekend Project. I'm Laura Lynn of the Mama Pop Quilt Shop and we're very happy to see you here today. Today we're working on another mini quilt project and I'm calling it this birch, how to make birch trees really. I have taken scraps of black, shades of gray, tans and creams, some whites, and just did the bit of this, just scrappy bits. And this one is actually even one of Pop's old dress shirts. You can see there's a button there. I've chopped that up. I like the fabric. I thought it was really nice, so I decided I was going to keep that. And I am making some birch trees, and we're going to make it so it looks like you're looking out at the window, and they're just going from really the border edge of the project to the border edge. Now you can of course make this any size that you like. This one I'm making is, I don't know, it's probably about 18 inches by 18 inches. It's not really too big. It's just a wall hanging. My background is just a white with a little bit of gray, but you could use two pieces, making it look like so the trees are in the foreground and stuff like that. Like you could do like maybe green and blue or shades of tan and browns and stuff like that, or just use the solid color like I did, because it's still somewhat snowy outside. And what I did is I didn't have any specific size of strips. In fact, you'll see that these are not even cut straight. I just went with the rotary cutter for some of them just to cut some strips and just have some fun, because the more unique and non-straight it is, the more it is going to look like a birch tree, okay? So you can pretty much start anywhere. I'd start with a couple of light colors, get a dark in there, get a couple of light colors, get a dark in there, so on and so forth. So let's do that now. Let's get some pieces together and start building out a tree. You're going to need a few strips. They don't have to be very long, but you want to make sure they're at least maybe 5 to 6 inches so you can get a few cuts. You can get a few cuts to make your birch tree for your project. This isn't going to take very long. It should take maybe just a few hours to get it all finished. You do not have to free motion quilt it to finish it off. I will actually show you how you can do it another way without having to use your free motion foot too. So just stay tuned for that, okay? So I'm just going to sew the strips together. Just keep sewing and sewing until you have enough that it's going to cover your piece of fabric that you want to interpret as where the trees are. Okay, so there's that. Here, let's grab another couple little light pieces here. And I literally just cut some strips off. That was the whole point of it. It's just to have some fun with my scrappy stash. So I guess we can call this a Scrappy Birch mini quilt. I don't know. We got something. We're going to call it almost done very soon. Okay. You don't want too many of the same colors next to each other because you want to add to the variation of the tree. If you don't have your rotary cutter, you can always just grab a pair of scissors. And like I said, it doesn't have to be straight. Put the piece on. Great project maybe to take all these little kind of bits of fabric and stick them in a bag and then pull from the bag. And of course, if you maybe think it's too much light on one side, then go and take the piece and flip it to the other and make it about as big as the strip is that you got. I know some people are afraid of free motion quilting and they may not have the foot. This is my foot that I use for free motion quilting. Oops. There's other ones that actually have this little space in here between the red lines there is gone. Like, I don't know if you guys could see that. Maybe I'll put it in the desk one. Okay, there. And then there's those little lines here I was talking about. Yeah. So some have a little open foot, some have closed, some have metal, some have plastic, some have, you know, it's all a mix. So, and if your machine doesn't come with one, maybe see if there is one, if you're interested in doing free motion quilting. Okay. That's, of course, is completely up to you. Okay, and then once you get a few strips together, you got yourself your balance out of what you're needing for your project. Okay, that's just a little strip there, as you can see. Then you press it all out. Okay, you're going to press it nice and flat. Okay. And it kind of really doesn't matter which way the fibers are going, because whatever's just going to give you a depth of shadow effect, okay? So once you get your strip all nicely pressed out, here, let's grab our little bits and bobs and move them off to the side here. And I literally just chose from a bucket. I went searching for strips and this and that and variation of colors and went from there. And that's how I created my birch. So great scrap buster for sure. Okay, so I have myself a nice big strip. Okay, as you can see, I have all sorts of different colors going on there between the creams, the tans, the whites, the grays, the blacks, and stuff like that. And then you just cut a few pieces off, and especially like the width of you're looking for. So I'll show you an example of what I have going on so far. Okay, just there. And you can see one has not been free motion quilted yet, okay? But these two ones you have here. You don't have to put the Y, you don't have to have the branches crossing, you don't have to have it so one's popping out of the other or whatever. You can even have a couple of tiny ones in the background here or something like that, or whatever. It's really up to your interpretation. Just have some fun with your fabric. And be inspired that you can do something really neat and fun, just like this, okay? So once you get a few strips, here, let's even this up. Okay. Don't want the wayward ones there. And then you can go a little thicker at the bottom, thinner at the top, do it the same. That is really up to you. Okay. So let's go here. And of course this strip is way bigger than what I need it to be for my project, which is just fine because then I can move the strip up and down the project to make sure I'm not having the same fabrics repeating next to each other. Okay, so I'm just going to cut a couple of strips. Okay. And then I'm going to take my fabric, and I do have batting on this just because I wanted to be able to trapunto this. And if you're not sure what trapuntoing is, it's pretty much doing exactly what we got going on right here, but then we're going to come in and cut the background out and just make that stitching where that stitching is on this project. Just like that. We're just going to make sure that stitching is staying there, and we're going to cut all this out. And that makes this part pop up a little bit more when you put all the extra batting in, or the other batting in, okay? You can turn this into a pillow, okay? That would be awesome. Okay, so once we have our little background fabric here, spread out where we need it on our batting. Hopefully you can see that there. Now we just take our strips and just lay them out. Lay them so they're comfortable to you. Okay, that one there. Now I'm going to make sure this one gets flipped around. Like one in the middle. Stay with, you know, odd numbers are good. You know what I mean? Odd numbers are pretty good. I mean, kind of, this one's a little bit taller. There. Okay. Just lay them out. And if you had another little strip, like I had this little strip left over from the first little project there, you can kind of just go make it nice and even, and then it can become a background piece for one of those. I should put it on the other side. Why not? It's dangerous here, people. Dangerous. Okay, and then just like that. Make sure they're not too straight, because nature doesn't grow really straight. And I just popped a few pins in here and then just did some zigzags on either side. But you can probably just do a straight stitch if you're fine with having that bit of a frayed edge to go with the whole aspect of the birch tree. But we are going to add some black quilting. Okay. And of course, we want to make sure this one gets stitched down first before we add the other one. So let's put those pins in there. We'll put this one here just so we know we have where we have a placement for it. We don't want to get lost in our process. Okay, and a few little pins up here. I think my goal this year is just so you believe in yourself that you can do things and you can be crafty and you can be creative in your own space without always having to follow a pattern or, you know, do this or do that. You know, you could just take some time in your own space. Oh, don't cut that off. You'll be in trouble. Whoa, whoa. And just have fun. Just have fun. Okay, so once you get your strips, they're sewn together, then they're cut. We're going to put on a zigzag stitch. We like going 4 and then 1 for distance, and then we're just going to do a zigzag down on either side. Okay. That's just going to stabilize the whole project. So I'll try and keep my hand out of the way. Oh, I think I made it bigger. There we go. Now it does take a little bit of time because it is a zigzag, but you could only do a blanket stitch or a nice decorative stitch as long as it's going to pretty much seal up the edge. Okay. Don't want it to fold there, so there we go. Straighten it out. Okay. And really, in an afternoon, you'd have a beautiful little project. Okay, and then zigzag on the other side. I used gray fabric that had some mountains in it. I used some that had dots and trees and little flowers, and I just used everything. Use some solids, mix it up. You have the stash. I know you do. You can't tell me you don't. You got some tans and grays and whites and blacks you could play with and make yourself a lovely little birch tree project. Okay. So once you get all that done and sewn down, like I have on the other one, okay, so that's that one there. Now you, like it's all zigzag down here, okay. Now you can change your thread to the dark color, either a nice dark brown, dark gray, or even black. I've got gray in the bottom. I'm just trying to use up a couple little embroidery threads that have just a little smidgy on them. And then change the top. You could use Gutermann thread too. I just happen to have this one on hand, so whatever the thread's going to do the trick for your quilting. Keep your regular foot on at this point in time. Put it on a straight stitch. Okay, let's get a fresh thread here. There we go. Nice pair of scissors. Beautiful pair of scissors. Okay. All right. So if you don't want to use this foot for free motion quilting, which is also dropping the feed dogs, these little grippy things right on the bottom here, their little teeth, the little, those are feed dogs because it feeds the fabric through the system, okay? So you want to leave those fine the way they are because you're going to do this way. So what you want to do is you just want to start off on one edge, okay? And you can use the back stitch quite a bit as well. So you're going to put your foot down. You're going to straight forward. A little bit of back, a little bit straight, a little bit of back, a little bit of straight, and then just make sure you're lifting your foot and turning your project to be able to do those lines in like this, okay? So you just want to go again, forward, and then back, foot down, foot up, this way. So it's still possible. You still can do it to give those lines and details if you don't want to do it the free motion threading kind of way, okay? It's just like this. You're gonna have to use your back though. Use your back stitch. Back stitch is wonderful. And you kind of want to give it a little bit of a coating on the outside, like you want to go a couple of times because it just adds that little bit of a detail, right? Oops, hit the wrong button. Oop, gotta go back. One more. There we go. Okay. So that's that way of doing it. Okay. I'm going to switch the feet out or foot out, and I'm going to show you how I do it. I'm going to make sure I got a nice long tail though. Well, it usually does. Oh, let's switch the foot. There's my screwdriver. This is my regular sewing foot. Loosen the screw until that pops up, and this should just slide right in. There's two types of free motion feet. There's short shank and long shank. That depends on how your machine is set up, so make sure you got that correct. This is a long shank. Okay. And then I'm going to change this to free motion stitch on my machine. Though, if you don't have like the switch up, you want to drop the feed dogs and put your stitch length to 0. Okay, that is important. You can hear that, just drop the feed dogs. So now I want to start on one side, and I'm going to kind of go back and forth, and then in and out, and back and forth, and in and out, and back and forth, and in and out, and I'm just going to work it there. So I'll finish off what we had going on this side. Okay, make sure my foot is down, needle down, needle up, bringing the bobbin threads to the top. There we go, perfect. Okay, we're going to hold those 2 threads until we get our stuff going, and then we'll push them off to the side, okay? So I know my hand is going to be in the way, and I'm sorry. Hopefully you can be able to see that as best you can. It seems really, really bright, but and then you just go back and forth, line in, back and forth, line in. Okay, now stitch those under. That's okay. I'll try and do it without my hands being in the way. And you just make your way down the side of your tree, adding those lovely little details that are on the birch tree. And I've got different size pieces. I'm going to come back here and I'm going to go back there, and it doesn't matter that you're a little messy with the stitches. It just adds all the details with your creation. It's giving it that much touch of nature. Oops, sorry. Don't be a lead foot. Now you can do all these parts first and then come back and go up and down like I was doing. Give it a little bit more depth with the stitchery on the side. Okay. Turn this way. We're just going to go across the top here to the other side. And then come down again. Now I think this would be fabulous to a side of a bag. I really do. I think that would be pretty bomb diggity. Okay, let's go all the way to the top. There we go, good place to stop. Okay, once you get all those beautiful little stitches all down, and it looks really cool, it really gives that bit of a depth perception to the tree and to the whole little panel piece. You can build out a whole lovely quilt like this. I think it would be amazing. Now just give it a little press, and then set it in whatever situation that you would like it. And of course you can make it whatever size you like. Finish it up with a little binding. I probably wouldn't even border it. I would just make it the binding like right there at the bottom of the project and all the way around, so it just looked like it was, you know, there. So Well, I hope you try this, and I would love to see it if you do. I hope you guys have an amazing weekend. Thank you to anyone who joined us last Saturday. That was the 12th of March of 2022. We had a 12-hour live stream, and we had a fantastic time, and we can't wait to do it again. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for your time and your support and just hanging out with us. It really means a lot to us here at the Mom and Pop Quilt Shop. We will see you Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern, where it is international and national, depending on where you're from, quilting day, and we'll be working with a layer cake. So take care, everybody. Have yourself a fantastic day, and hopefully you get some birch trees on today. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you soon. Still on? Still working?